Problem number one, definitely a problem you don't want to start with. It's a big picture question. And with these, what we have to do is get a lay of the land, kind of an understanding of the passage by answering other questions. Remember, as you answer other questions, like for example, problem seven, you're going to be working on lines 67 to 84. So you'll have played around with some of these sentences, read them, answered questions, start to form a better big picture. Now, for this passage, passage number one, we're always going to do a pencil read. That means take the tip of your pencil and we're going to go ahead and just kind of trace it over each line of words. It's almost like finger scanning, but we're not going to go backwards. It's going to start at the left and go to the right, and as you run across words that are nouns that pop off the page, what you would actually do is you would actually kind of formulate those nouns and verbs together to come up with a big picture view. You will take your pencil and just simply trace over each line of words and then underline keywords that pop off the page. All right, so let's quickly take a look at that and how we're going to work with that. So let's go up and here. So for pencil reading, first thing you want to do is read the title, all right? And we're looking at a big picture question in this particular one, number one, that's primarily talking about the narrator, okay? The point of view from the narrator who it's presented, okay? In the title, you're going to see the title is about Mr. Ives' Christmas. So you know the whole passage is about Mr. Ives, okay? So as I come over here and I start pencil reading, what I do is I just formulate that understanding for my central theme, and I come over here, so it says Edward Ives, not the most talented of artists, son Robert, blah, 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 laborer, okay? So we've got Ives. The story's probably about Christmas. They're going to probably go back in time. Mr. Ives has got a son, and the son kind of is like a worker, okay? So that's, and as you go through, you're going to have beautiful portraits. You see all these words just going to jump off the page, okay? So that's how you're going to go ahead before you answer the questions. You're going to pencil read. Now, when we come back over here, let's actually look at this question, because this question asks here, the events in the passage are described primarily from the point of view of the narrator who does what. Now, what I would do on this is whenever it's the point of view, go in here and underline the differences, okay? So you have Ives exclusively, and you have Ives and McGuire, all right? And then in answer choice C, it says Ives, employees, and classmates. And here it says all characters, okay? So does the author know personal feelings and thoughts of Ives McGuire, or everybody, or just Ives, the employees, and the classmates? That's going to help you considerably when you go in here, because now you know what you're looking for, okay? Now, just think of it. As we go back over here, we already have seen the title. The title says Mr. Ives' Christmas. So the whole passage, you know, is going to be about Ives. When we come back over here, you're basically just going to kind of look in here. Okay, we got Ives. All right, Robert. Looking. Fleeting jobs. Paris, Rome. That's all he wanted. Okay, so if you look over here, you're going to see basically this kind of gives you some insight. That's all he wanted. How do you know that's what he wanted? Unless you can kind of think, you know, from his perspective. Okay. Then it says before the war, teenagers. And I'm just kind of looking in here, glancing as you go through here. Remember, we're looking for those words that we underlined so far. All right. Stikeman Brothers. All right. You basically would just keep going through and doing this. And when you come across words here, for example, McGuire, Annie McGuire, this is probably Ives' wife, okay? And then she's a freelancer, fell in love with Annie McGuire, okay? So do you really know how she felt? It said he fell in love with Annie McGuire, which is probably Ives, so that's kind of a second hint. Here's the first one. And the second one is over here. All right. As you're going through, you're looking for those words that we underlined: Ives, McGuire, employees, all the characters, and so forth. All right. So you basically just circle that. The answer for the correct problem here for number 1 is going to be answer choice A. And if you're running out of time, probably a good thing to do would be to look at the title. See that the title is about Ives and his Christmas. So this is Ives exclusively. A is the answer on that one. But you get the gist of it. It is a time-consuming problem. And if you preview this and underline your stuff and then go on to the other questions, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier. Number 1 is A. Problem number 3 is a big picture question. What we call this is a radioactive question. Radioactive questions along with problem number 1. That's a big picture question. You definitely want to save this to the end. They're bombing you with 2 big picture questions, which is going to take you a ton of time, all right? In fact, if you look over here, this is another problem that's going to be time consuming. For me, I would jump in and probably do some of the mystery or the line references, starting with 4, somewhere in there, all right? So how do you approach problem number 3? First thing you want to do is make sure that you understand and circle the word not. Which of the following is not answered in the passage, okay? So circle the word not. That means 3 of them are and 1 of them is not. Believe it or not, kids get this wrong because they just go for the first answer and they find the word that's in there, okay? Now, how do you approach this? What's not in here? What you do is you look at your answer choices and you subgenius map with your nouns and verbs. So we read A. What kind of work did Ive do in his father's printing plant? So what I would do is I would say father and printing plant, because we're going to need to find that either finger scan or we're going to have to bump into it as we go across and look at other answer choices. You're going to have to basically find all of these answer choices. Do you see why we call it radioactive? Because it is quite time consuming. Answer choice B, it says, did a relationship ever develop between Ives and McGuire? McGuire, we already know Ives is going to be everywhere, so we'd circle McGuire, and then we're going to look for that. Okay. Answer choice C says, as an infant, how did Robert respond to his father's gentle attention? Infant and Robert, I underline both of those. Okay. And then answer choice D says, in what setting did Ives first become aware of McGuire? Okay. So we have McGuire again. All right. Did they meet and is there a relationship? All right. Once I underline all of these, probably what I would do is I would go and answer other questions and then come back after I have kind of a mental roadmap of the passage. We're looking for a printing plant, the father, McGuire twice, and Robert and the infant. All right. So we're obviously not going to be able to come back in the correct answer to look at this, but basically what you would do is you just now come in here and start trying to find this stuff, all right? I see that Annie McGuire is over here, okay? And it says that he fell in love, all right? So that happened, okay? And then I'm looking over here for the father. I see Robert, okay? And years later, develop blah, 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 blah. I keep looking in here for more Roberts, infant. I look for the father. I look for printing plan. I'm just kind of looking around, okay? Here's Robert, thinking of Robert, finally remember those evenings, art gallery, freelancing, walking around, Annie McGuire again. It is time consuming, and that's why we save it to the end, and we label this radioactive. When you get to the place, you're going to find that problem 3, the correct answer here is going to be answer choice A. And here it is why. Here's father's printing plant here. And in the answer choice says, what kind of work did Ives do at his father's printing plant? So once you find this, you're going to have to kind of read this. Before the war, trying to figure out what was going on. When he was not working in his father's plant. All right? So right away, the kid never worked in the printing plant, and that's why, even though it says printing plant, the question is not asking us about that. It's asking about which one is not answered. What kind of work did he do in the printing plant? He didn't work there. So obviously the correct answer is not, because it's not answered. It never tells you what kind of work he did in the printing plant there. 3 is going to be answer choice A. Problem number 5, it's a mystery question. First thing, we just label that, okay, in your mystery preview. And then also, whenever you see least, not, or except, you can go ahead and circle that, okay? So according to the passage, that's another signal that tells you it's mystery, that word according. Anytime it asks you according, just like 8, that's also going to be mystery, dead giveaway. All right, according to the passage, all the following were aspects of Ives' job at the movie theater. This is the word we're going to look for, movie theater. Now, there's a small problem. Some of you kids that got this wrong probably got it wrong because you didn't find the word movie theater, all right? And that's because they don't use that exact phraseology. They say big movie house on line 20. Here it is right here. Second of all, it's kind of hidden on the left-hand side, so it's tough for your eyes to find. So probably you kids were looking for theater and then never got there. All right. So now, once you find this, we're going to have to just read and cross out answer choices. All right. So answer choice A says wearing a dark green outfit. So we're looking for the one that's not in there. So did he indeed wear a dark green outfit? All right. You do is you simply look in here and see, does it talk about a dark green outfit? So let's look. All right. Velvet outfit, seats, love to wear, painted elbows, working. So there it is right there, and it's not green, it's gray actually from the question. It says he enjoyed wearing a gray outfit. All right, so answer choice is in there. We found it, and we're looking for the one that's the exception, so that would make answer choice A out, okay? And looking at gangster movies, so where do we see gangster movies? Here it is, gangster movies. So answer choice B is in there, that would be out. Answer choice C says escorting girls to their seats, and here it is, escorting perfumed pretty girls down. Okay, so answer choice C, that's in there in line 24. And answer choice D says painted window displays. All right, here it says painted window displays, right? You got to read this carefully. All right, the question says, according to the passage, all of the following were aspects of the job at the movie theater. So when he was working at the movie theater, was he painting the displays? He also painted window displays and made special signs, but it was for the Brooklyn mechanics, all right? So these signs were not for the movie theater. So you see that's the correct answer, answer choice D. Remember, you're looking for the one that's not in there, even though the painting the windows is in there, you're not painting the windows for the movie theater. Answer choice D for problem number 5. Problem number 6, first thing you want to do is read it, label it, mystery, line reference, or big picture. In the passage statement, McGuire's artwork, it's mystery. All right, now second step is to underline all the potential keywords we would find. McGuire's artwork, okay, and elegance and simplicity. All right, if we were to throw all of those into this imaginary funnel called the Roth funnel that I taught you kids, you would see that the most specific word that will appear the least amount of times and in only one paragraph should fall to the very bottom. I feel like McGuire, even though it's capitalized with M and G, it would be easy to spot. It probably might be in multiple places, so I went with simplicity and elegance at the same time. I figured once you got those words, it's only going to be in one sentence, in one paragraph, okay? Then what I did is I simply went looking for it. A couple ways you could do that. You could preview this in your Preview Genius Map, and then try and bump into it as you're kind of genius mapping and you're answering other questions and so forth. All right. However you do it, you need to find it, and you need to find it quick. So I found simplicity here on line 75, and you'll notice that elegance is also on that line, but it's broken in half, so that might have been harder to locate. All right. Once you find that word, remember we've got 3 tools to help us translate Scooby-Doo style. 1 is the good stinky rule, 2 is pirate flags, but yet however, although, and so forth. And then also, if you can't answer the question, you see, you just simply look at the topic sentence. In this particular case, I found the word simplicity and elegance, and it talks about the few times he had spied on her work, he was struck by the simplicity and elegance of her paintings. Then what happened is when I went back to the answer choices, I looked at my answer choices and I didn't love any of them, right? Here, for example, it says Ives expresses her effort to impress. Ives focuses, forms, blah, 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 blah. I look at all these classmates in hope of, okay, replaces. The line that we found, simplicity and elegance, doesn't give me any of these answer choices. So let's do this. Let's convert over to our tool that says look at the topic sentence. So here we are, and line 75, and simplicity and elegance is in the middle of the paragraph. And this middle of the paragraph area is there to support the top, which is the topic sentence. And here it says, thinking about Robert, Ives would always fondly remember those evenings he spent in 1948 at the Art Student League. Okay, so now we know that he saw McGuire at the Art Student League. All right, when we go back down to our answer choices, you're going to see that the answer choice pops off the page. It's answer choice G because that's the only one that says something from the topic sentence here. G, look at your topic sentence for your secret tip on this problem. Problem number 14, it's a line reference question, and remember your tools to go ahead and help you with this. First thing we could do is look at the topic sentence. We're going to go to line 28 to 31. Second thing you could do is you could glance in that paragraph for pirate flags. And the third thing you can do is label the sentence that's in question 28 to 31 plus or minus using the good stinky rule. So let's jump on up there and take a look at lines 28 to 31. All right, so here it is right here. Right here. All right. So we're looking for Gornick most strongly stresses what? What is Gornick stressing in this line area here? I just start reading. She reflects that at this point it was already too late. An educated, upright, law order household sprawling with a knife and all that stuff. And I'm like, look at that. I'm like, yeah, I look at my answer choices, none of that makes sense. So I look at the topic sentence, all right? She began a career, one of America's greatest radicals. That's your topic sentence. All right, so she's a radical. She's got a career as a radical. Look at your answers. When we come into 14, we're just simply looking for a Scooby-Doo synonym off of the topic sentence. And you can see in 14, the correct answer here is going to be answer choice J, rebellion. Radical and rebellion, Scooby-Doo synonym. J for 14. Look at the topic sentence, kids. Kids, problem number 18. This is an unusual type of a question, and this question is called a prior knowledge question. A prior knowledge question means that they just expect you to have learned this in school for sure, okay? Some stuff that you're going to see in science potentially is going to be a prior knowledge question. It's going to ask you about all that stuff like Earth, Mars, Venus, Mercury. They're going to need to know that stuff because they won't give you in the passage. Also, they're going to ask you in science something about the pH scale 1 through 14, basic, neutral, and acidic. All right, here's a prior knowledge question that you're going to see in the reading. All right, it says the passage author characterized Stanton at Seneca Falls Convention. Okay, so Elizabeth Stady Canton is the woman that fought for what's called women's suffrage, and women's suffrage is the right to vote. Boys, sorry, and it's a prior knowledge question. You should have gotten this. A lot of the girls in the program already kind of know that. They studied about it. Women's right to vote is the suffrage program that was at the convention in Seneca Falls. Prior knowledge question 18. Problem number 21. It's a big picture question. It's from the point of view. We saw one of these. in one of the previous passages in passage 1. And a good suggestion on this one, what you would do is just identify it as a big picture point of view kind of a passage, and then go on, answer the other questions, and save it to the end. Okay? But in the meantime, probably a good idea for you to understand what you're looking for. All right? So is it somebody that's traveling? Is it somebody that wants to become a musician? Is it somebody reflecting on the appreciation? Or is it somebody searching for their roots? I just simply underline that. All right? Once you do that, then it's a good idea always to go back up and read the title. And then start reading paragraph 1 is probably going to be a good place here. All right. Here, Humanities, passage adapted from the memoirs of Heart in the Earth. True Stories, Alabama, Mexico by this Wayne guy. All right. Then it says Hank Williams is a popular singer in the 1940s. All right. Then paragraph number 1, I just start reading. It says, in the summertime of my youth. All right. So now you know that it's a person that probably is going to remember something back when they were a kid, because it says youth in 1940s. It's not 1940s, so this person is probably, what, I don't know, 60, 70 years old or something like that. And what is he going to remember? He's going to remember Hank Williams, who we already know is a country singer. All right. You look at your answer choices, and there it is right there. Answer choice C, reflecting of his youth, and the passage is all about Hank Williams. C for 21. Problem number 23, first thing we want to do is go ahead and label it. It's mystery. Second thing we do is underline what's important, which is the keywords. Williams, it's going to be easy to find that because it's capitalized. We'll pop off the page, and let's see, meeting. All right, noun and the verb. Now we go into the passage, and probably what I would do is Williams is going to be all over the place. However, because this is capitalized, it's going to pop. So just go in, find all the Williams, underline them, and then look for something that starts talking about a meeting. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. We'll come back up to the passage and just start looking. So I would just kind of finger scan up here. Keep in mind we're looking for Williams and we're looking for meeting. So paragraph 1, 2, keep looking, and I see here on line 29, if I can get there. All right. So on line 29 here it says Williams, Hank Williams. All right. And then I had to read a little bit further. All right. It says, boys, this is Hank Williams, the most famous singer and songwriter ever to come out of Georgiana. All right. The skinny man hooted. Now that's about the best introduction I've ever had. Okay. And then he ordered a bunch of soft drinks. All right. So it sounds like he's pretty cool, considering he's like super famous singer, because I don't think you're gonna get that from any movie star or any, Rihanna or Eminem or anybody like that. So 23, just think what's another synonym for saying he hooted, said thanks, and let's buy some soft drinks for everyone. B for 23. Problem number 24, it's another mystery question, and once again we're looking for Williams, and this time we're looking for the reaction of being first addressed. All right, what I would do, since the answers are pretty short here, glance at them and then kind of think good stinky rule. Pity, that's negative. Curious, positive. Pride, and bashful. Okay, then let's go back up in, and since this is a capitalized word, what you would want to do now is just kind of quickly finger scan for all the Williams and then just underline them and then look for the first meeting. So this pops pretty fast because it's capitalized, right? And then as you just kind of keep going down over here, you just keep looking for something. Here's Hank, and here's Hank again. All right. So I found my answer over here on line 42, right here. And this is kind of where they're talking about Hank Williams and all that stuff here. With his blade face, shadow, eyes grin. What kind of music do you like? And then it says, I tried to hide behind my glass. on line 45. All right. So think of the Scooby-Doo synonym for trying to hide behind your glass when you're approached by super famous, the most famous country music star would be bashful. J for problem number 24. Problem number 25, first thing you want to do is look at this, make sure that you recognize this is a mystery question. Second thing is you come in here, you underline what potentially could be our keywords that we're going to look for, okay? So we have Williams, that's our noun. It's going to pop off the page as we've seen in some of the other questions because of the capitalized W. And then records, okay? So this is our noun, and what's happening to the main noun? The main noun, our verb, records, okay? Even though this word records is another noun, it converts into a verb because it's Williams making records. All right. Now let's go in, and you already know that it's going to be pretty easy. However, it's going to be all over the place. That word we're looking for, Williams. All right. So I found this word on line 68, and if you look over here, here's our paragraph. And in our paragraph, it says right here, records. All right. Then I just simply read that. We took the records to our room. As they first started to play, Donnie made a face and frowned. It's negative. All right. Right away, we can convert over to our tools using the good stinky rule. When we found the word records, we can assume they're Hank Williams records and they're negative. When we look at our answer choices, now let's just match up the answer choices in 25 and look for a negative choice. Answer choice A, continue to play them, that's positive. Didn't listen to them, that's negative. Shared the records with their mom, that's positive. And were struck by the skillful songwriting. Good stinky rule B for 25 once you find the word records. Remember, nouns and verbs are going to be great words to try and locate in questions that are containing mystery. All right, kids, problem number 30 is a tricky problem. It's a mystery question here, so make sure that you label that correctly. Then when you look in here, I'm going to show you a trick here, okay? It's most reasonably inferred from the passage that the narrator gains appreciation of Williams' music primarily as the result. All right, so here is our noun, Williams, and that's going to be all over. And here is our verb. What's happening with Williams? We're gaining an appreciation. But this word right here jumps off the page, result. So this passage, if you go back up here and you read the title is about a kid that makes an acquaintance with his dad right here, adapted from the memoirs Heart is in Earth, True Stories, Alabama, Mexico, whatever. Hank Williams, popular songwriter. And this is basically a story about a kid meeting Hank Williams with his father. All right. Now remember, the question says gains an appreciation as a result of what? So right away, I'm thinking down here at the bottom of the passage is where I'm going to start looking for this. So I'm looking like in this area. All right. As a result. So in memory and stuff like that. All right. That's the first thing. The second thing is if you look over at the answer choices, we're going to use our old tools. One is subgenius mapping by looking at your answer choices and then basically just labeling them positive or negative with the good stinky rule. Williams' friendliness, that's positive. His own experience with heartache, negative. Encouragement, positive. And seeing him perform in concert. All right, you can see that 3 of the answer choices are positive and the only one that pops off is negative. It's going to be answer choice G. All right, now go back to that last bit, last couple paragraphs, and you just want to kind of see in here, we're looking for some type of appreciation. All right, so I'm just doing exactly what I would do. I'd look in here, memory, the trip, daddy reminds, powerful poetic slur, the music, the scale between a deep carved cave, move is somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Did you hear loneliness, lonesome, whining, I could cry, lonesome, all right? So that's a negative there, okay? And then twisted and torn, battered and bruised, scarred tissue. All right, so this is all, both of these paragraphs are super negative. So that leads me to the answer. All right, torn and all that stuff is a Scooby-Doo for heartache. So the answer on this one is going to be G. Problem 31 is big picture question. Probably what you want to do is save this. Don't attack this right away in the passage. So what you want to do, make sure, is look at your genius map and then sub-genius map the answer choices. Okay, so I look at answer choice A, and it says pattern of classifying items. All right, it says delineate classifications, similarities and differences between naturalists and biologists. And here it says describe the process of establishing limitations of a classification system. All right, so let's go back in here. So is this a pattern of classifying? Is this a delineate between them? Is it talking about biologists, or is it looking at just limitations and usefulness of the classification system? Now what we do is we just simply go in, look at our topic sentences, and here we go. Don't forget to look at the title and see what the title says. Here it says natural passage. It says variety of life. All right. Through all classification systems, whether devised by songbirds, professors, botanies, or blah, 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 two separate sets of conditions run parallel. So we know we're dealing with classification systems, and there's two systems, okay? If the criteria is made explicit in paragraph 2, it can be repeated by others simply by following instructions, okay? Go to the next paragraph. It says behind all classifications too, it's inevitable philosophy, all classifications pose some view of the world, okay? So classification systems again. Whatever criteria we adopt, so it's classification systems dealing with criteria. And we already know that there's two types, all right? Over here, ad hoc categorizing living things is a useful way. So categorizing, this is just another way of saying categorizing criteria for classification systems. We come back up here, but flag, flip-flop, or pirate flag, it says this is one simple manipulate aspects of nature. All right, so you're manipulating aspects in order so you can classify them by some type of a criteria. All right, see how I'm just kind of forcing those words to make sense? All right. Since this is a long paragraph, probably what I would do is I would glance in here to see if there's a pirate flag, and I see the word thus. That tells me maybe let's read that to conclusion. What's often called natural classification is based on biologists' consume underlying nature, the biologist. All right. So take a look at that, and now I'm going to just kind of summarize in my own words. I saw basically that it's about classification systems, and it's just giving you kind of like an overview of what it is, okay? So is this about hierarchical patterns? No, okay? The biologist thing and the naturalists, that's not in the topic sentences. That's just only in one paragraph. That's out, all right? Delineate between classifications that impose the view of the world that reflect natural order, or describe the process of establishing limitations and usefulness of a classification system. I'd get it down to 2, and then basically, is it delineating between the classifications, or is it basically just kind of talking about how they're used? Look back, criteria we adopt, here's a pirate flag. You're going to see the better answer choice here is going to be answer choice D. So remember, big picture questions, you always want to make sure that you go in there and you take a look at your topic sentence and look for pirate flags. 31B. Problem 32, kind of tricky. It looks like it's a line reference, but read it carefully. 32 says the main function of the second paragraph, lines 13 to 28, in relation to the passage as a whole. So what does this mean? This means that we're going to have to look at paragraph number 2 and then see how it fits in to the whole passage. So of course we start with our genius map. Let's go back up here. We'll take a look at all of our topic sentences. And here we are in paragraph 1. It says, through all classification systems derived through professors of songbirds or botanists, there's two sets of considerations that run parallel. Big picture classification systems, and there's two things that are going on. Paragraph number 2 says, and that's the one that we're trying to figure out how it places in this whole essay, we're talking about criteria that's made explicit. Okay, so criteria made explicit in regards to classification. All right, we go to paragraph number 3 and look for a Scooby-Doo synonym behind all classification systems. Okay, so once again, all classification systems. Then we look at the next paragraph, whatever criteria we adopt. Okay, so criteria is going to be our criteria from paragraph number 2, criteria in deciding how to classify stuff. The final paragraph in this column here, it talks about ad hoc ways of categorizing or classifying. All right, when you categorize, that's another Scooby-Doo synonym for classifying. You're going to categorize something and put it in a classification system and put it in an order. All right, go up to the next topic sentence on the top up here, starting with a pirate flag here. It says, but it says it's one thing to simply manipulate aspects of nature for our own convenience. Now, we forced this paragraph, doesn't say anything about classifying, and it doesn't say anything about criteria. So we have to force it into that because you can't start talking about something new. But it's one thing to simply manipulate aspects. When you manipulate aspects, that's going to help you use certain criteria. Which manipulation of all the things that we have, which ones are we going to manipulate, forget about, and which ones are we going to focus on, so we could use which criteria so we can actually classify it in a meaningful way. See what I did? I Scooby-Dooed that topic sentence, which feels like it's unrelated, but I made it make sense. All right? So what do I get from the whole passage? I get this. We have classification systems. There's two kinds of things going on here. We're going to use different criteria to try and classify stuff in an orderly way so it makes sense and easier to understand. All right? Kind of like a dresser drawer. All right? That's the big picture. So when we look at our answer choices over here, first thing we want to do is we want to focus on the nouns and verbs in the answer choices. We call that sub-genius mapping. We'll cross out 2 and get it down to the right 2, and then we'll probably have to go look at it again. All right, so here we go. It says describe characteristics of potential weaknesses of criteria. All right, that's what paragraph 2 is about. So let's put it up by that. Introduce scientific concept. Paragraph 2 doesn't talk about a scientific concept. H, the need for subjective criteria. All right, let's put it up by that. And J, restate a surprising fact. All right, our topic sentence in paragraph 2 is not about a surprising fact, and it is not about a scientific concept. So those two have the wrong nouns. You with me? G and J are out. Now both of these answer choices that are remaining, F and H, F here says objective criteria, and H says subjective criteria. Okay? So we take a look at those. We're going to have to Scooby-Doo synonym them. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the good stinky rule. Let's take a look at both of these. Describe characteristics of essential weaknesses. That's negative for F. And answer choice H says argue the need for subjective criteria such as beauty. It's positive. All right. Now, let's go back in and use our third tool when we review paragraph number 2. And paragraph number 2 is look at your topic sentence and pirate flags. Let's go into paragraph 2. Here it is. So pull out our pen again, and here's our topic sentence. We have criteria. It's made explicit. I come down over here. I see a pirate flag. That tells me that they're going to switch. If the criteria is made explicit, it can be repeated by others simply by following directions. Positive. Pirate flag here tells you that whatever they say here is going to have to be negative. But objective criteria might also be arbitrary. All right, easy. Remember, the only answer choice that's negative here, potential weakness of the two choices that we have remaining, is going to be answer choice F for 32. Use the good stinky rule topic sentence. And on this one, a little tricky, we're going to have to look at your full genius map. 32, F. Problem 33, first thing we do is label it line reference. We're going to go to lines 47 to 58. Then remember your tools. We're going to do plus minus, good stinky rule. We're going to look at the topic sentence, and we're going to kind of glance in there for pirate flags, words that are going to switch that good stinky rule around. But yet, however, although also there might be some pirate flags in there that are telling you something is important, like for example, for instance, in conclusion, thus, moreover, today, recently, lately. Those words tell you that there's something probably that's important. All right, don't forget your tools when we go in and analyze this. Let's jump on in here and take a look at line 47. First thing I would do probably, since it's a big paragraph, is take a look at our topic sentence. All right, so here we are. Here's our paragraph right here. And now we're going to go ahead and just read this. Ad hoc ways of categorizing living things are useful. Number 1, tool 1, topic sentence. I just read that. Tool 2, good stinky rule. When it says practical things are useful, that's going to be positive. All right, we'll go back and take a look at our answer choices and see if there is anything in there we can cross out right away. All right, label our answer choices. Answer choice A, explain the dissimilarities between the two types. Dissimilar. Criticize, impractical. That's out. Okay. Convince the reader that selfish is a useful classification. That's negative. Negative, negative. And show people everyday categorizing are useful in their needs. Okay, so we got out 2 of them right away because of the good stinky rule. So is this dissimilar or is it practical? All right, particular needs. So let's go back in here and kind of re-look at our topic sentence. Maybe we can find a pirate flag in there. All right, here we are again. And this is pretty much the same thing that I would do every single time. Is knock out 2 and then look at it again. All right, I just kept quickly glancing here. Are there any pirate flags? Nope. And here it says categorizing things are useful. Then I read the next sentence. Long may they persist. Practical people doing practical things need to carve up the world in their own way. All right. So which one of those is closer? Practical people need to carve up things their own way. So once again, good stinky rule, knock those out. So people, that's our noun here, and here, sea creatures. Which one of those nouns was in that second sentence? Is that second sentence talking about creatures in the sea or people? It says practical people. Problem number 37, it's a line reference question. Since the answer choices are just 1 or 2 words, you can use something called a vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner means we're going to read the sentence and we're going to underline this phrase, carve up, and then just plug those words in and see if it makes any sense. All right, let's go ahead, locate line 49, and then we're just going to plug those words in and see which one sounds the best. All right, keep in mind that 49, carve up right here, okay? And here's the beginning of that sentence right there. And let's plug our answers in, all right? Answer choice A says gouge, all right? Practical people doing practical things need to gouge the world in their own way, okay? So carve up in your own way, okay? So you would carve up a piece of pumpkin pie in the size that you would want, and here gouge kind of means like you're taking like a hack chunk out of it. I feel like that doesn't work, gouge. Let's take a look at B. B says minimize, all right? Start reading, plug them in. Practical people doing practical things need to minimize the world in their own way. That doesn't make any sense. Carving up and minimizing, that's just not a synonym. Analyze for answer choice C. Practical people doing practical things need to analyze the world in their own ways and not from the outsiders. Okay, so that makes sense. Carve up, kind of decide on what you're going to carve and then analyze how you're going to analyze it. That makes sense. Put a dot by that one. And take a look at D, says inscribe. All right. Practical people doing practical things need to inscribe the world in their own way. That doesn't make any sense. This is all about vocabulary. And the vocabulary here, if you don't know those words, you just plug it in using the vacuum cleaner. The best answer choice here is going to be answer choice C for problem number 37. Problem 38, it's a line reference question. Don't forget your tools. First tool that we're going to do is we're going to use our topic sentence. Glance at your topic sentence. If line 57 is not the topic sentence, we would want to look at the topic sentence. Then from line 57 and 58 and or the topic sentence, you want to use the good stinky rule. Also, don't be afraid to look in the whole paragraph quickly for pirate flags, especially words like but, yet, however, and although, because that's going to flip the good stinky rule value. All right. Now, what I'm going to do on this question for argument purposes is I'm just going to look at my answer choices right away and use the good stinky rule. Okay. Convey contradictory, confusing information. That's negative. Spotlight categories that are less important, that's negative, and present an array of viewpoints that broadens people's understanding, that's our noun. Okay, and here it says position side by side to pinpoint an items, that's our noun, is an item. All right, so we have people or items, and then positive or negative. Okay, both of these are going to be positive. All right. Now, let's use our tools. Let's go ahead, find that line, look at the topic sentence, and then good stinky rule, as well as glance in there real quick for pirate flags. All right, let's zap back up. And here we are, it's line 57 up here. And you'll notice that 57 is down in the bottom here. So I'm going to have a quick look at my topic sentence down here on column number 1. All right. Ad hoc ways of categorizing living things are useful. That's positive. I'm going to glance in there for pirate flags real quick, but yet, however, although, there's no things that flip, so I know the topic sentence is going to be positive, and I didn't see anything up in line 57, a pirate flag in that area as well, so I know that that line in question is going to be positive. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what the nouns are. Ad hoc ways of categorizing, that's going to be our verb. Are useful. Okay, and then it says persistent, practical people doing practical things. All right, so we're looking for an answer choice that talks about categorizing, people are categorizing, and it's helpful, it's positive. Let's go ahead and take a look at our answer choices. So we can cross out our negative answer choices right away. Good stinky rule. Confusing, that's out. Less important, that's out. Okay, so here it says broadens and important. Okay, both of those are positive. Now we have to convert over to the noun and the verb. Okay, so in answer choice F it says array of viewpoints that people's understanding, and here it says an item. So our topic sentence was talking about people H. This is the wrong noun. You see that? Look at your topic sentence. Maybe you have to read another sentence or two. H for 38. All right, problem number 40 is a lot like our science questions. You're going to notice that this is like 6 lines of text here. So what you want to do is you want to start with the question itself. Make sure you understand the question. So let's read this. Understand the question before we actually go in and look at the stuff. Based on the passage, the author would most likely describe this classification system how? This is giving you a new scenario, and we want to know what kind of classification system it is. All right. Suppose a dog trainer typically divides his client dogs into 2 groups. All right. Easy to train and difficult to train. Okay. Based on this, what do you think the dog trainer would do? Okay, we got two groups. Okay, now think, is that a positive thing or is that a negative thing? Okay, when you do two groups, easy and difficult. Okay, look over here, we have objective, easily to repeat. Okay, so when you read this, you can see this is kind of a positive thing. It's real easy, two groups, easy and difficult. So easy to repeat by others, right? So that's going to be positive, good stinky rule. Arbitrary and not useful. Is it really not useful when you just have two groups? That's negative. Cross that out. Okay. Informal and inappropriately unscientific. That's negative. Okay. And then practical and meaningful. All right, that's positive. Right away, just by looking at the new scenario, you label it with the good stinky rule, positive or negative. Okay, now what you have to do is this is a mystery question now. You have to go in and you have to look for objective and you have to look for practical in the passage. Okay, so let's go in and practical. All right, so here I found practical on line 49. And it says, again, practical people doing practical things, carving up the world in their own ways. All right, that would make sense. Okay, so I'll put a dot by that. And then let's look for the other answer choice that we were looking for, which was objective. I remember seeing that up top here. I think it was paragraph 2. Yeah, here it is. It's on line 18, objective. All right. So not judge simply accordance with personal taste, but the criteria can be objective. Objective criteria may also be arbitrary. So is it arbitrary when you have two groups of dogs, difficult to train and tough to train? No. All right. So this may have been a vocabulary word for you, so maybe you didn't need to Scooby-Doo, reword that, look back in the passage, you could have got it out of practical versus objective, and you were able to translate your answer choice. But however you do it, you end up getting the answer for this one is going to be answer choice J. It's practical just because it makes sense. It's pretty easy, straightforward. It's not objective for the answer here. Even though it's easy to repeat by others, it's not so much objective. It's just flat out practical and meaningful to the trainer because they know exactly what they're going to be dealing with the dog. 40 J.